about you. Sorry, caught me off guard. Thank you so much for coming out for opening night of this Q&A with one of my favorite movies of the year. Please join me in welcoming the film's writer and director. He is, of course, a Tony-nominated playwright and an Oscar and BAFTA award-winning filmmaker. Please welcome Martin McDonagh. We have an extra chair, I guess. Well, I guess we're hoping Jenny would join us.
Oh, that's so cool.
Where is she? No. In real life? Oh, no. Oh, of course.
Of course not, guys. Jeez. She's happy and gambling in a green field.
Fantastic. Gambling, is that like walking?
Yes,
Not,
it's not so good.
not doing craps, yeah, okay. Congratulations. You were batting 1,000 as a filmmaker. I don't know many people I can say that about. And in addition to all your achievements that I listed, I just heard that, did you write Brendan Gleeson's monologue for Saturday Night Live?
No, just a teeny little bit, but my jokes didn't get in. They're a little knuckle, shall we say.
So whenever I have people as accomplished as you are, I actually love to go back to the beginning and ask, when did you first start to know you were a writer? What was the first thing you wrote, whether you got paid for it or not?
Oh wow. I think some of the stories from The Pillar Man, the old play of mine, were written quite young. In one of those, the one about the Pied Piper was when I was like 16 or so. I think that was the very first thing that was like, oh, that's quite.
So you've always been like this.
Someone else wrote that, which is usually a good sign. Yeah. But so that was about 16. But I tried to write from like 16 to 24, and it was around about 24 when sort of the plays started happening.
Didn't you, correct me on the figure, but you wrote like 7 plays in 9 months or something?
Yeah, something like that. and 2 bad ones too.
I was going to say they were
We
good.
don't talk about. But I'm going to sell them to Netflix next year.
So again, congratulations on a wonderful film. I'm just curious if you could tell us where sort of the spark or the idea of this came about, or was it just a way to reunite your In Bruges stars?
Well, it was partly that we wanted to get together ever since then, really. But no, like just the simplicity of a breakup story, to tell a breakup story as sadly and as humanely, but as grimly as possible. I think any kind of breakup story, but it has some extra resonance when it was just 2 platonic friends on an island. So that was the germ of the idea. But then also the idea of art and legacy. Obviously, I was sort of more on Colin Farrell's side in the initial sort of draft, but you needed some kind of balance to that, and I thought that the artistic question would help that.
I was curious about if your allegiances sort of shifted, because obviously Colin is so sympathetic, but Brendan's character, Colm, he makes some really good points.
Yeah, it was, and I think in this, on the script, we had like 2 weeks of rehearsal before we started shooting, and even at the script stage, it still was leaning kind of 60-40 towards Colin's character in terms of being on his side. But Brendan and I talked about not redressing that, but to see, just to see where he was coming from, and I feel like now it's sort of 51-49 in Colin's favour, but you have to hopefully, even though he's being awfully tough about it, to see that this does have a point to a degree.
Oh, it's heartbreaking when he won't even look at him or tells him to go away.
It's horrible.
Yeah, but then there's also.
I don't like you no more. What a horrible thing to say to someone.
No, it's so simple.
Who came up with that shit?
Something that I believe you did for this movie that I've always been told writers shouldn't do is you wrote with actors in mind. Obviously, Colin and Brendan, you
yeah,
do.
and Kerry and Barry Kerrigan too. Yeah, what do people say you shouldn't write with actors?
Because you might not get them, but you're Martin McDonagh.
But you always do, yeah. Always do. But I think it does help, even if you might not get them. So, sometimes having someone's voice in your head is useful for a character. Sam Rockwell is always helpful to me. both of those parts that Sam played were written with his voice in my head. And Frances McDormand's character as well. So I don't think it's a bad thing. It's good exercise.
So Carrie Condon, who's so spectacular in this movie, she's been doing your plays since, I want to say like the age of 17, is that right?
Yep. Wow. We met like 22 years ago. She was in a version of Lonesome West, and then she did the original Lieutenant Inisherin, and she was just stunning in that at the age of like 18, 19. And I've always wanted to she had a small part in Three Billboards, but I've always wanted to write something that would allow her to show off how amazing she is, and she does it. I think she's amazing in this. So great.
I can't imagine what it's like as an actor for someone to say, I wrote something for you, and have it be something you wrote.
Maybe you don't tell them early on.
Gotcha.
So no, but I like, for Carrie, no, I think she knew. I don't think I told Barry, and Colin and Brendan, they knew. But it's true, so I don't think you shouldn't convey that to them.
Well, I want to talk about Barry Keoghan as well, because I don't believe you've worked with him, unless I'm missing something.
No, but I'd loved his work for years and years.
Really?
He's a very young actor. He did a great TV thing in Ireland called Love Hate, and he's like even if it's small parts, everything he's done has been outstanding. So yeah, he's a properly refreshing, different kind of actor. He's a ball of fun.
I mean, I first saw him, I think, in Killing of a Sacred Deer, which I'm kind of pretending this is a bit of a sequel to, because Colin's in it as well.
Okay.
So maybe a prequel? No, that doesn't work either.
He's brilliant in Killing.
Oh my God, he's brilliant.
He's mesmerizing. Yeah.
Brilliant. When you have so many different styles of acting, or maybe these actors are all very similar, how do you sort of get them all on the same page and like have them all sort of know what the tone is? Because this movie is funny, but it's tragic, it's scary and, exhilarating. And I assume a lot of that is in the script, but you probably find some of it in editing too.
In terms of tone, I think rehearsals are great for that. Just to see that you don't play the comedy, you just play the truth. Mine character, I guess, is the fundamental thing to get everyone on the same page. But they are kind of similar actors. They really care. They want to be truthful, even if that doesn't show themselves in the best light. Colin is playing someone who's not necessarily the brightest, but he doesn't shy away from that. He doesn't try to make him smarter or anything else, and that's the beauty of the performance. I think it's doesn't beg sympathy. Brendan similarly. Conversely, almost he's that first scene where he says, I don't like you anymore. We knew that was a very harsh scene, but our thinking behind that, we talked about a lot, was that he's actually, even as a character, being more harsh than he actually feels. But he knows that unless he gets it through to them at that stage, he's not going to hear it. The problems arise in the next scenes when he's trying to be a little kinder about it, and that's what lets Colin's character back in, I think.
I love that you're sort of building this repertory company of players in your movies. What does an actor have to do or not do to get invited back?
Ooh, to not get invited back.
To get invited back. But is there anything they shouldn't do? Actually, that answer might be more interesting.
No one's done anything to. No, they've all come back.
Yeah.
And the ones that haven't, I hope they will. Like Rafe, I haven't worked with twice, but I'm sure I will. And Francis, they're just great actors. So you always want to. I don't think I'd be able to work with someone who's a dickhead. So you try to weed that out before you get into casting. But I think the best actors aren't. I think it's sort of the mid-level, insecure ones.
That's what my experience has been.
Really?
Yeah. Because they know how good they are. Well, I will say, I'll tell you who the nicest people in the universe are.
Okay.
One of them is Colin Farrell and one is Mark Ruffalo. And those two aren't, they're not feeling any insecurity about how good they are.
Yeah. Mark's a great actor too.
Yes, you should. And can I have 20%?
Okay.
I'm surprised to learn that this is, well, it's not your first film because Six Shooter was set in Ireland, but this is your first feature-length movie set in Ireland. Was that something you've been wanting to do? Why was it time? Because most of your plays are set there, I think.
I think it just hadn't happened really. There was no reason not to, but I guess the first movie ideas I wrote were all, either Belgian set or American set, so it was just natural to do those first. But this is the first script I had that was Irish set. I did always want to capture, the beauty of the west coast of Ireland and those islands, because Inisherin is where we filmed Porrick's house. That's just literally across the bay from where my mum and dad live. So, I'd see that place every few months going back to Ireland. To capture how gorgeous Ireland was. And I don't think it's been done enough really. So that was half of what we were determined to do with this.
And I know you feel very strongly about not adapting plays to movies. Your own, or do you feel that way about all plays?
All plays.
Really?
No play should ever be adapted into.
A Few Good Men?
How's that? What?
A Few Good Men? That's pretty good. Usually there's a violent response when I mention a play that was adapted into a movie, so.
I might not have actually seen that, so I'm really being a bit. But there aren't a lot of great movies from great plays.
Mm-hmm.
I think, unless you go to like the Kurosawa versions of Shakespeare or something like that. But I think when they stick to the dialogue, the stories set in a room usually don't make great cinema.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Well, I was actually curious if part of the impetus for this movie was you knew you would be shooting during COVID, because it's a smaller cast than I think I've seen in any of your films.
No, the COVID thing that wasn't really. I think I wrote it just before COVID happened, and we were delayed a little because of it. But it was a perfect time to shoot during COVID because we were isolated and on an island, and the Aran Islands had kind of closed down during COVID too, so it was very well protected, and we made sure we kept that too. So, but no, it wasn't. I think there are aspects of COVID to the journey, to like the story of legacy and what you leave behind, and are we wasting time? I think those are kind of COVID percolating ideas, but that's
When you first start to sort of hit upon an idea and start writing a script, do you know from the start if it's a film or a play? Has it ever changed midway through?
No, it's never changed. It's always, you kind of, if it's small, if it's a couple of sets and a few characters, then it's going to be a play.
And are you someone who can only work on one thing and only work on one thing at once? Like, one thing is pretty amazing.
Pretty much, yeah. I feel like once you're writing the one thing, everything you hear and see can kind of feed into it. So if you split it for a few things, for me it doesn't work as well. But then I chuck a lot away, so then I'll move on to the next thing. But yeah, no, I have to stick to one thing.
So what's the biggest difference when you're, say, writing a screenplay? Do you, just think about, I hate that expression where they always say, like, you gotta open it up. Open it up, I don't know what that means, but I'm curious if when you know it's gonna be a screenplay, you instantly start thinking about close-ups and, landscapes.
Landscapes, yes. I don't really write in images or close-ups or anything like that, to be honest. And even at the first stage of script writing, pictures don't really come into it. I always storyboard after the script is finished, and then that's a whole another image-based writing.
And how did you develop your visual style? Because obviously the writing is going to be astounding, but you've become such a great visual filmmaker as well. This movie is beautiful to look at.
Thank you, Ben Davis, DP, a wonderful job. He's done my last three. I don't know, I think the storyboarding helps, but I'm not sure quite what my visual style is yet. But I knew, I do feel like capturing landscapes or capturing the town where the thing is set is as important as what's going on in the foreground.
I mean, if there's a common theme, I would say it's very immersive. You like put us in these worlds that feel almost not real, or almost like fables, but they are all too real by the end of the movie.
Yeah, I think that's true. But in terms of visual, I mean, I love all the doorway stuff and looking through window stuff in this. But that's probably more John Ford's visual style than mine, but still from the best.
Homage.
Yeah, homage. But yeah, no, I think that's still, I know the tone is mine. I see the tone from film to film, but visually, I'm not sure if it changes from one to the other. I'll have to watch them back to back and see.
You mentioned you got 2 weeks of rehearsal, which from what I understand is very unusual. Is that something that you always insist on?
Yeah. And the actors, all the actors I've worked with have appreciated that. But Colin and Brendan especially. Yeah, I think it's really useful just to get all the information that I have in my head out to them, even if you don't agree. The information's out there, and it saves so much time too. And it doesn't limit what an actor can do. I don't think it actually gives them more options.
I'm curious if you, I was going to say allow, but if you like improvisation, or maybe, no, that doesn't look like it. Yeah. Do you like it more than A Few Good Men?
No, I dislike improv even more than that film that I haven't seen. No, I always think writers are better writers than actors.
Yeah. All the writers I work with.
Also, I thought about the lines, for a year, as opposed to 2 minutes.
I mean, I wouldn't want to improv one of your scripts. There's no way it's going to be better than what's written down.
Right?
Yeah, come on. You have a movie where the characters aren't always being kind to each other. What is the atmosphere on set like?
It's honestly a dream.
It is,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, maybe it has to be because of what's going on
Yeah.
in front of the camera.
Because Colin and Brendan seem very close in real life.
Yeah, they love each other.
Yeah.
They love each other on set too. They did have conversations about, do you need space? Do we need to mirror what's going on? And they both agreed that they didn't. But I think because that would have been no fun. But I think there were probably times or scenes where they would just kind of quietly go off to their own corner of the pub and protect themselves, I guess. But no, they're not that kind of actor. Not that I've got anything against with anyone who's very method either, but these guys aren't. And but no, yeah, it was a really joyful production.
So what did end up being the most challenging part of the shoot? If there was a specific scene that was either hard to crack in the writing or the filming?
I mean, they all have their difficulties, I guess. But it seems like when Brendan says for the first time I don't like him anymore, it's just knowing that it's the reaction to that is the whole film, basically. In something without words. Literally just being on Colin's face is going to tell us all of the history, all of the pain in the moment, all of what's going to happen afterwards. But I wouldn't say it's difficult, but it's just something you never know if it's going to be there until you film it.
Well, they say never work with animals or children, and you definitely had your share of animals. Were they well behaved?
They were actually. I mean, Jenny's a little bit of a diva.
But she's worth it.
She's worth it. No, she was gorgeous. Minnie the horse was a revelation. She was allowed to improv. And the dog was a little bit dim, if I'm being honest. But we got there. But we got there in the end. But no, Jenny was a dream. I'd like to work with Jenny again.
Yeah. Jenny and Mark
Jenny is
Ruffalo.
alive, okay. Jenny and Mark, Mark Ruffalo.
Did you just get an idea?
Yeah. You can have 20% of that.
All right, 40%. I'm up to 40. 20.
Not an extra 20%.
Well, we'll work it out. I
Los
actually,
Angeles.
right. Your characters are so indelible and memorable, and I'm just sort of curious. You've never done a sequel. Have you ever been tempted
Because all
to?
the characters are always dead. That's how I avoid doing it. Kill everybody.
But do you ever mentally check in with these characters and wonder where they are? I'm really curious about everyone in Seven Psychopaths, what they're up to these days.
I definitely don't check in on those ones. I think I probably will on these ones.
Really?
Yeah, well, because they are alive, and but they're left in that, awful sort of sad place that, maybe I'll wonder about that.
So,
Maybe I'll be then,
yeah, commit to it now.
Yeah. You'll get 60%. No.
I was going to say, pretty soon you're going to be paying me.
Yeah.
It's going to be 120% before we're done. I feel like this movie is, the reviews for it are crazy, but I just love how much audiences are loving it. And I'm a little bit surprised, because sometimes when I see something that I feel was made specifically for me, I'm surprised when everyone else loves it too. Did you think in telling such a specific story about these two men and their relationship that it would resonate with people so universally?
No, I'm like very surprised already that anyone likes it. Well, just the reviews have been surprisingly good.
Really? You always get good reviews though, don't you?
Yeah, well, not quite. Thinking back on the last one. But no, when we finished it felt like we liked it and we were happy with it, but it could have been it felt like it could be like an indie little story that might not be seen or taken to, and it's quite sad and pretty dark too. So I have been surprised that it seems to be going over so strangely well.
Yeah, I think people relate to these characters a lot.
Why is that?
One or the other. I don't know. We've all had that friend we couldn't get rid of.
Is that
Let's
it?
be
Is that what
honest.
it is?
I think so, right? Or you are that friend and you don't know
We've all
it.
been dumped by someone horrible.
Yeah, we can all relate to a breakup.
Yeah. Well, that is part of it. I think we've hopefully might be the wrong word, but in both positions maybe in our lives, and see the pain on both sides. And maybe that's part of the connection too.
When you try to let someone down gently, and sometimes that's just not the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. In terms of how it's going, can I ask, how many people, and it's either going to be sadness or hope? How many people feel like sadness
At the end?
At the end of it, yeah.
Let's see her for sadness.
Hands for sad.
Really? Hope?
And any hope?
I'm a little on team hope.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know, I'm an optimist, you wouldn't know. Yeah. Well, again, I want to remind everyone that this movie is now in limited release. It'll be going into wide release, but please spread the word. I don't know that you need that much help, but it couldn't hurt.
Oh, we need that.
It's such a beautiful special film. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you all for being a great audience.
Thanks, everyone.